Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Brett Richman, Director of Partner Sales. I want to thank you all for joining us here this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're located on the map, and for those international clients, evening. Today, I would like to welcome you to view the SOS partnership opportunity that we're extending to yourselves, companies like yourself that have come here today to look to see what we have to offer. Now, normally, the itinerary of a webinar like this is just to give you a high-level view of the partnership and go over facts and statistics. I'm actually going to take it a different direction today, and I'm going to give you a low-level view on a specific basis of looking at not only the proposition and looking at a lot of the software and technology, but also giving you an idea of some pricing, which is usually delegated to a partner specialist that you'll be assigned to upon conclusion of this webinar. So I'm going to do my best to crunch all of this into as much information for you in this short time slot. And I'm going to welcome all of you to go ahead and ask questions as they come about. I'll pause in between sections to effectively answer those. But I've done this several times, and I think I'm pretty good at wrapping up this into one discussion for you. So sit back, enjoy, and I look forward to hearing some of the feedback from you as you go along. So SOS, basically the premise of this webinar would be to supercharge your revenue. We're all in this to make money, okay? And not only just to make money, but also to make and give a great solution to the customer base, because money does not come without reliable software. SOS, about us as far as a company, we've been around 11 years in this industry, which is very significant if you're doing that assessment of who to partner up with the best product, because we've been in this space long enough to be reviewed by all the creditable agencies, whether it's Laptop Mag, PC Mag, who's both rated us Editor's Choice for the last 5 years running, in addition to more recently New York Times and Wall Street Journal, who had indicated we are the online backup provider. So on this form that you see in front of you, there are several statistics that you can read from. But you know, I really think that it's meaningful that we have those awards, but more from a partner perspective, because the partner channel in our business drives about 90% of our company revenue. This is much different than the average online backup provider, who is more generally focused with their company name, okay? We're going a different way. We're focused with your brand recognition. We're going to leverage our award-winning infrastructure and give you the ability of leveraging that to your customer base while assisting you from start to finish. I'm going to show you some of the details of what I mean by that soup to nuts mentality, really from start to finish. We've got almost everything you need to drive this business quickly and efficiently. So as a company, I've mentioned we've been around 12 years. We're very large, over 200 employees. We have a customer base of over 3 million with 12 million PCs. We've experienced exponential growth over the last year of 300% during what we would call a recession since 2009, which is a direct indicator of our partner success. And moving on, the next step here is that we're going to take a fully rebranded solution, and we're going to give you that award-winning infrastructure, okay? So where does it start? It starts with that rebranded client software piece. And I want to give you an example of that in a second, but let me tell you a little bit about how we do this from start to finish. We're going to take a client software application, we're going to rebrand it completely, okay? We're going to reskin that to get it exactly the way that you want it, all right? We're going to take that software piece, we're going to make it available to every one of your customers so that they can push it out to their customer base, okay? Excuse me, having a little technical difficulty here, so I'm gonna move on to the next step here. So as you can see on your screen here, we're gonna take that piece of software and we're gonna allow you to push it across your customer base and chop it up in increments, that space that you're gonna be selling to your customers at any amount that you want, okay? So you're gonna take a certain amount of space, you're gonna chop it up and charge whatever you want, incremental revenue, high margin, reoccurring revenue. I'm going to get off this screen here and I'm going to go down to some of the facts here of just showing you exactly how we're going to do this. So what you should see in front of you is the SOS brand, okay, on my computer screen right here. This is the wizard. This is the application that's won all those awards. And we're going to completely reskin it here so that you can see it, all right? I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by the reskin process because talking through it only does so much. All right. This is an example of a company by the name of Adobe. And Adobe decided for the full rebrand, which 99.9% of our partners choose. They have been completely enabled in this product. SOS has been completely eliminated. All right. The only place where SOS will stay present is going to be in that EULA agreement, where we're going to be shielding you from any kind of liability, all right? But it does no good to have that SOS presence in that software because you're the ones that are going to be marketing it to your customer base, all right? Now, I mentioned our mentality, which is pretty much the soup to nuts. We go beyond the award-winning infrastructure of the software application and the data centers. We have 11 data centers across the globe, a global presence internationally and here domestically. But we're going to also help you with the sales and marketing collateral, okay? This is going to save you a ton of time. So let me show you one example, one piece here. This is a product sheet that we made for a company by the name of Keeltech. And Keeltech, they decided to go with this product sheet here, this brochure that they market out. And you can see page 1 has the list of feature sets that they can offer with a copy of their wizard screen. And also, they have backside to more features in system requirements. Okay? That's one of many. Where the value lies and what's unique to our partnership is going to be located here on the Partner Resource Center. So for a minute, I want you just to visualize the amount of time that it would take for you guys to build a lot of this documentation from the ground up. If we're truly in a partnership and we truly are serious about, that revenue growth within that 90% mentality, we're going to give you access to everything we've found successful over the last year of business. You can see here everything from email templates, pricing guidelines, sales presentations, everything that you're going to need to hit the ground running with this, we're going to provide you with. That's going to save you just a ton of time when you analyze adding this seamlessly into your current operation. Now, that's the #1 hurdle for many of these partners that we're dealing with right now, and maybe even yourselves. How much time is this going to take to integrate into what I'm currently doing? There's really no 25th hour in the day, is there? I barely have time to sleep. And that's the truth. You guys work hard. I'm in the same business as you are, so I understand what it's like. But if you actually had to do a lot of this from the ground up, it would take you a ton of time. So we want to make this as simple as possible for you. You're going to have access to every one of these documents in Word format, whatever it may be, so you can put your brand look and feel on that and market it to your customer base. All right? In addition to that, we're going to train you extensively on this. This is adding even more to the business in a box mentality that we have. We're going to train you extensively on this so that you know how to sell this, how to market it, and how to provide that Tier 1 support from a technical perspective. All right? So we take you through, part of the partnership involves a series of interactive webinars where we'll take you through all 3 of those aspects, the sales, marketing, and technical training. We want you to be as empowered as possible with this. Even with no technical background that I had, I picked this up in 30 days. So with you, I would think the learning curve would be even shorter than that. If you have staff members that are going to be involved with this, and they can't make the webinars, which they'll have access to on an ongoing basis, they'll have ongoing access to recorded trainings, product data sheets, training presentations, documents and manuals, just a ton of value here. I think all of you have got the point here. I can move on from this point. So Let's get back to the software application and talk about features. Okay, what's going to allow you to provide full business continuity to those SMB customers, those small office, home offices? What's going to allow you to do that? Well, I think full business continuity means giving them the ability to back up every machine in their network at no extra cost. Okay, I'm a firm believer that unlimited computers is a pretty good selling point. This is how we form the partnership. We're never going to charge you any licensing fees. All right, so that's definitely an economic plus. All right, but also it's a definite marketing plus. See, the power of that marketing presence that you're going to have on every system and every network with your customized software application is going to be dynamic, I feel. All right. Again, another piece to the full business continuity would be providing for a local backup. We all know that nothing replaces the speed of a local restore. And I would be giving you bad information or bad advice if I told you to completely move away from a local backup option. That's definitely a cornerstone that needs to be done or taken care of in order to round off that continuity. So we've baked that utility into the software application at no extra cost, which allows you to really seal up the full product offering right here with that. So this local backup, you can point to any device other than tape. It will fully encrypt and password protect that data prior to pushing it to any drive of your choice. So anything other than tape, whether it's a NAS device, an external, a thumb, a disk, whatever you're pushing it to, that's going to be fully encrypted, password protected, so if those drives are taken off-site and lost or stolen, that information is safe and secure. In addition, let's show you the online backup portion because that's where the value lies. That local option will be subject to whatever local damage takes place, but it's a good option to have nonetheless for an expedient restore if it's just server failure. All right. So let's look at the online backup portion here with step 1, the common files and folders. This is the Windows directory tree, as you can see, where you'll have the option of backing up whatever material you want, the files and folders here. Now, simply put, if Windows can see it, we'll back it up. All right? We're one of the few providers out there right now that will support format directory backup. All right? So if you have an outside system, an NAS that you're pointing toward this Windows box, we will support that UNC path creation through that shared network folder, which is a definite plus. Many of the small office, home offices, and SMB customers. Here on the desktop. So you can see what's going on. I've already put in some figures right here, but I'm actually going to erase all this stuff because I want to explain to you in detail what all these figures mean. There's going to come a point in time where you're going to need to understand this, okay? So I'm going to eliminate a lot of these figures. I'm going to leave it like this, and at the conclusion of the conversation, if you're interested in receiving a copy of this ROI calculator, which really collapses the whole business portion of the conversation, we'll be more than happy to deliver it to you. Just call in to the 800 number and your partner specialist will supply you with it, okay? So I'm going to save and close. And you see that I've selected it here in the tray. I'm going to move on to step 2, okay? So step 2, when and how do you want to back up? Now the major pain point, ladies and gentlemen, with online backup is that initial seeding process. That's what takes the most amount of time. Industry-wide, we're not the only ones. Okay, that is the pain point. Now, your question to me is going to be, great, Brett, well, how does SOS overcome this hurdle? How are you unique compared to the rest of the providers? Well, I'll tell you what. We'll never limit you to the amount you can give us or what speed you can give us that amount on a daily basis, okay? You and I both know the limitations will be on the customer end as far as their connectivity speed, but it's good to know your provider won't limit you to, like many do out there. Some providers will limit you to 2 to 4 gigs of upload speed, of upload amount a day, or a upload speed of 500 kbps. We'll do neither. In fact, I've seen uploads with our device and our application here as fast as 15,000 kbps, okay? So once the initial achieves, it'll be good for you to know, you'll be glad to know that we do backup just on changes, okay? We're only going to be taking the block level changes of each document, allowing this to be a very passive and fast utility. You don't want something that's going to be running all the time in the background like many applications are that are out there. You'll have full control over when those intervals occur, okay? So once the initial achieves, you'll come back into the product, check this box to run the scheduled backups, and then choose the frequency or intervals. So you could have that product running as often as every 1 to 12 hours. You could have it going as much as once daily, once weekly, or once monthly. Okay, that's totally up to you. You have full control over that. As I mentioned, it's not running in the background at all times, sucking performance or local resources. Now, if this is for an environment or this is for a server-based backup, checking this box comes in real handy. That allows you to run the backup even when the Windows user is not logged on. So for the server-based backup, if it logs off, that will create an automatic task in the Windows Task Manager to log that machine on prior to launch of the product. Okay. Now, I'm going to unselect those boxes because what we're going to attempt here is an initial backup. So I don't need to have those boxes checked. But I want to explain to you, for some of you customers that are out there and some of you partners, potential partners that are out there, what you're seeing, what we've done here is we've created a schedule, okay? And if you can think about for a second, if you have a customer with over 50 systems in their network, going from node to create a schedule would be labor intensive. So we have a solution for that. Our solution is a system we call Pulse, and I'm showing this to you on your screen right now, where you can create a backup policy. So a backup policy would be a schedule. You'd make it a global policy that you can utilize to push across the network to all machines at once, thus saving you the time from going from machine to machine. In addition, this is going to allow you to actually go and remote control each backup. So you'll be able to actually remote control each individual system. So from a reporting standpoint, you'd be able to view the backups from one location. This is customer A through Z, and customer A would be your client A. And under client A, they might have 4 machines that they're backing up. You'll have access to the logs, to the events, to the pulses, so you can see the health of that environment. And this is going to be mandatory, especially with some of those larger customers of yours. All right? For more information about Pulse, there is a live tutorial on our website if you'd like to see that, or just call and ask your partner specialist. He'll supply you with a demo for that. Okay? So we've created a schedule. We've gone through that. Step 3 is the reporting mechanism. Now, you see that if you had Pulse, that would be your #1 mechanism for reporting. But in the event you don't have Pulse, Step 3 will allow you to email a backup report to 2 designated email addresses, indicating the success or failure of that backup. Okay? And I'm just going to put in my email address here so we can see that, and go to the next step. So the next step is that the backup is ready to go. The setup is complete. You check to run the backup now, then hit Finish. And it's going to go ahead and encrypt, compress, and transfer that document. So let me hit this Show Details box and tell you what's going on here. How secure is this product? Well, we feel we use the most superior level of encryption in the industry. We use the military-grade DoD standard AES encryption. We hit all data with 256-bit AES prior to transfer. Then we use the 128-bit SSL tunnel for that transfer, which is what the banks use for online banking. And then we actually, the unique portion of encryption happens at the data center. It's the 3rd level. We hit it with 1024-bit AES, which is quadruple DoD standard, and almost show-off quality at that point, you know, if you ask me. But it is to ensure the integrity of that data. We've never had data lost because we actually replicate that data across data centers. So you can expect to have full copies of that data lying in several different geographic locations. Good to know, to just ensure that uptime. So the backup is achieved, okay? Now, I want to talk about recovery. Recovery can be accomplished through the client software piece. All right? There's several methods of recovery, but the most typical method would be through the client software piece itself. You can see here the option for restoring online. You can restore any amount of data through this software application, and because there's no licensing fees, you can have it existing on any system in the network for recovery purposes. So step 1 of 3 is the calendar view, where you're going to choose a date and time to go back to, and the bold numbers will indicate the day the backup achieved. If you want to find a specific file, you can drill down by its size, type, or name, or just go in blindly and pick from one of the computers that have been backed up. So as you can see on your screen here, I've backed up 7 computers under this one account, and I'll choose to restore a document from my computer here, which is Richman, and I'm going to drill down to the desktop here and select an actual file. The next part of this conversation that I want to address is going to be based on our versioning or archiving policy, because it's really what separates us from everybody else in the industry. Having this feature is going to alone itself allow you to sell this product very, very flexibly. So let's analyze, what is a version? A version is what's created every time a document is backed up and that document has changed. Okay, so let's take a 1 gig document for this analysis. And let's just say you back up that 1 gig document for a year. If you're running the backup nightly and that document changes daily, you could theoretically have 365 versions of that document. Okay? So as far as storage space, that's 365 gigs. So your question to me is going to be, well, Brett, that's great. I've got every version of that file for a year, but that's 365 gigs. That's a lot of space. How much am I charged for, and how long do you keep those versions? Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to love us, because we only charge you for 1 version out of those 365. 1 gig. The 364 versions, the 364 gigs, are stored forever and for free by us. And it's not limited to 1 year. We have customers with over 5 to 7 years of data in the back set. Now, let's analyze that for a second. People in today's market shop on a per gig basis. Okay? They analyze that per gig cost. But what they're not understanding is that provider's retenancy or versioning policy, because that's what changes the cost. If they're charging you for versions, that's going to get expensive. And I'll use Amazon, for instance, who's known as Rackspace or S3 in the industry. They charge a very attractive 15 cents per gig. Okay? But what they're not telling you is they're charging you for every version. So if you take that same 1 gig file and version it for 30 days, that's not 15 cents anymore, is it? It's actually $4.50, whereas with our solution, after 30 days of versions and 30 gigs of storage space, we're still only charging you for 1 gig. And your starting gig price might be somewhere in the 30 or 40 cent range. So it's going to be much cheaper. Moving forward from that, if you have customers that are in the specialized sectors of medical, healthcare, finance, law, government, education, they're going to need to have version history for probably a 5 to 7 year period. They're going to need to hold on to every copy of every file. So if you go with any provider that's not going to be giving you that free versioning and archiving tool, it's going to get very, very cost prohibitive. All right? So not only is it economically sound the way we do versioning and calculate storage space, but also from a compliancy standard, it is very, very much so compliant and cost effective. So you see Alan's document here. I backed it up 3 times. So I'm going to show you there's 3 different versions. I'll pick the middle version and go ahead and hit next and choose a path for recovery. So I'm going to go away from my default location so we can see this and just restore it to my desktop. And I'll hit finish. Okay. So what it's going to do is it's going to grab a copy from the data center, pull it out, and place it on my desktop. So you see here, it's already done. I can open it up with the original path location attached to it, so I know where to drop it. We don't want to restore it to the original location because we don't want any overriding issues. But here it is. This is Alan's document right here. So pretty quick and simple. Now let's entertain the notion that your technicians, maybe you yourself or your customer are out on the road and they don't have this client software application. will they still be able to recover documents? My answer to you is yes. As a partner, we're going to give you an external file sharing capability through our web portal here. So as a partner, you're going to have a portal that looks, and I've got way too many tabs open here. Let me click down here and pick one. I'm going to go into my account portal system. This account portal system will be, the URL name will be redone, so it says my account managed offsite backup, for instance. There'll be no SOS presence there, and this is going to enable both you and your customer to access their data anywhere they can get a browser. And I'm not talking about just from a PC or laptop, I'm talking about from a mobile phone too. So this is just going to open up the doors for your ability to service them, to access and share data. Okay? So let's pretend for a minute that you're my customer, I'm your IT guy. I'm going to put in the username and password on your account. I'm going to log in, and it's going to take me into your account. Okay? And it's going to show me all the different computers you've backed up in the tray here, and I can scroll through the window and look at every one of them. Now, the quick way of finding one document from all 7 computers is going to be the recover, share, search. Okay? So I'm going to put in webinar and the first number, which is 5, remember was 5411, and it's going to bring up that document that was backed up. Okay? Now, to get this to you as quick as possible, I could just go ahead and simply share it with you. Go ahead and simply share it with you, which means I'm going to be directly emailing you an encrypted link that'll pull a copy from the data center. That's the quickest way to service the client or to share it. If I'm the actual IT guy myself or the customer and I have access to this web portal, I'm going to hit recover. And it's just going to drop it down simply right to my desktop there. As you can see, it's in the tray. I'll open it up, and voila, there's your document. And you can see it's the same document right here. Very quick and simple, and I hope that you guys like what you're seeing here, because this really changes the game. It's now not just a backup tool. It's an archiving tool, and it's a utility for remote access and sharing of documentation. Okay? So if there are no further technical questions, I'm not seeing any questions here. If you have any questions now from a technology standpoint, please reach out. I'm looking at the Q&A box right now. If there are questions, ask away. If not, that means that I'm doing just an excellent job of telling you about the technology. Okay, we got some questions here. Let's see. What sort of, Mark, I think it's Mark McAfee, excuse me if I'm misreading the name, but what sort of staff do we need to support this? Well, technically this can be done by one person because the partnership with SOS involves us doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. If you want to drive support through us, fine. If you want to escalate to us as a second measure because you're delivering this as a managed service, which I recommend, it's more profitable for you, then you can escalate to us on a case-by-case scenario. The most labor-intensive portion of this, Mark, is the install process, installing the application, which takes minutes. Okay? You schedule the initial backup, walk away, come back, it's done, and then you set up the subsequent backups. This is a very, very, very automated and an intuitive product. All right? The next question, Neil, what about Linux desktops? Now, Neil, at this point in time, it's a Windows-based application. We have a Mac client that should be released by the end of June or early Q3. In the meantime, if it's not a purely Linux environment, you can map it to a Windows box. So as long as there's a Windows box in the environment, you can get that Linux system backed up. But if it's a purely Linux system, at this time, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay? What about, and Tony, you have a question, what about, let's see here, what about database, what about databases and Exchange? Good question. Now, I'll tell you what, we utilize the VSS API to back up open locked files. However, we do not recommend it on an email database level, okay, for several reasons. With a live database, if you're trying to back it up in live fashion, you're running the risk of missing transactions and also misconfiguration. So We've seen that overwork the server before. Microsoft best practices is always create that local copy, and then we'll take it to the cloud, okay? Take it to the offsite location. So if you want to create the local copy, if you already got a means for doing that, you'll select SOS to take that copy up. If you want us to do it, we can do it for you too. We've got a method for doing that. The next question is, are you supplying the client side? And just, Tony, just to get back to your question, we will do each exchange down to the mailbox level as well with our tool. All right? The next question from Anthony Bailey, are you supplying the client side and the hosting for storage as opposed to just client? Yes. This is the full gamut. The client software plus the storage. I don't think you're going to want to host this data yourself. A, because of the liability involved and the insurance premiums you're going to pay, but also the amount of labor it's going to take to do that. We wanted you to be able to do this very flexibly through us. We've got the award-winning solution. Let us handle it. Next question, Sanji, can we back up SQL databases? Of course, yes. As I mentioned, we do utilize the VSS API. Several of our customers have used it to back up SQL in my fashion. I don't recommend it though. SQL has its own native function to create a backup folder, which you can activate and use SOS to back up that backup folder. Now, as long as that naming convention isn't changing and that folder is overriding itself on a regular basis, we're just going to take the incremental changes on that on a nightly basis and give you a full versioning history of it. Okay, so you don't need to start, save full copies of that database. We'll save them for you for free. Next question, Mark. Android support. Mark, to answer your question, we are working on the mobile platforms. We have an iPhone application that is due for release, as well as the BlackBerry application. We are working on Android that will be soon following. It's similar technology. Okay. Now, you can access data from a cell phone, meaning you can access backed up material from that network from a cell phone through the mobile portal, which I'll show you in a second. All right. So we do have the ability to allow cell phones to access backed up data. Tony asking again, is the backup block-based or file-based? So Tony, it's not going to be the entire file that gets taken up, as long as it's over a certain threshold, and you can determine the threshold of what is cached. But we're simply just going to be taking the incremental changes. As long as it's below, I believe, 500 kilobytes, it's going to actually just take the changes. Okay, Sanji, your question is, are there any ports needed to be open to access the file? Now, I'm gonna defer to my technicians on there, but it's the standard ports. I think it's 80 and 443. I may be blowing that completely. Remember, I'm not a technician, but there's a pretty standard in and out ports that are used. Don Hedges is asking, what is the guarantee against data loss? Well, Don, we've never lost data. We've never lost data. But let's just say worst case scenario, it happens. Okay, you want to make sure that you're covered in that respect. Don, we're present in that EULA agreement, shielding you from any kind of liability if that happens. Based on our mirroring capability and the redundancy that's baked in, that's just not going to happen. Okay, it's just not going to happen. But rest assured, if it were to happen, some kind of Armageddon scenario, we are liable. We're present in that EULA agreement for the storage purposes. Okay? Great. Well, it looks like I've answered a majority of the questions. If there are no more, I'm going to go on to the pricing portion of the conversation. One more from Sanji. What is the minimum internet connection speed at client end? Well, you could have dial-up. I mean, I don't recommend it because it's going to just upset you and frustrate you. But, you know, DSL connectivity speed, usually the industry average with even DSL is about a gig an hour. So just to benchmark that. But it depends on the file type, and obviously if it's not DSL connection, the other type of connection that it's going to be. All right? The great part about it is that you can flexibly choose when that backup occurs so that it's going up in the most expeditious manner, or when, let's just say, the network's not being clogged. Now, just to go over that point, that brings up another great point, Sanji. The product is intuitive enough to back off on its own. So as far as bandwidth consumption goes, this product is not a hog. It's going to throttle itself. It backs off to any of the priority functions that are running. It will not prioritize itself over them, so not to worry. But in the event you are worried, you can schedule it to occur whenever you want. So let's go to the pricing discussion, why don't we? I've modeled a pretty general, I've done hundreds of ROI discussions, and we deal with one-man shops, we deal with large IT consultant firms that have 10 technicians in the field, and we deal with ISPs. So, you know, across the board, there's no partner that does not meet or succeed with our model. So I'm going to go through a pretty general ROI discussion with you and make it as short and sweet as possible. But I would definitely advise you to contact your sales rep or call into the 800 number to get a more personal ROI sheet done for you and yourself. Okay, so let's analyze this. What here I've done is I put the typical type of client that we see in this space. The first customer would be the SMB customer that has maybe 50 seats in the network. The second type of client would be a specialized sector, which would be the medical health care, finance, law, government, education, any sector that's going to have compliancy statutes that need to be met. We check off all those boxes. So you're not going to be limited to who you can sell to with this product, which is great. And based on the lack of supply to those specialized sectors, you're going to have a great solution for them. There's very few solutions out there that have not only a safe encryption method with a single decryption key option and have that full archiving forever for free, okay? If there are some, please let me know. I haven't seen many out there. The next type of client may be the home consumer. There may be some of you out there that are dealing with the home consumer. The name of the game with the home consumer is obviously volume, okay? Those home consumers tend to be more labor intensive, and the price points are lower. It doesn't mean you can't still make money off them and give them a great solution. And many of our partners will actually just market it at cost, just to give some of their home consumers a great product and keep them coming back. See, if you're a break-fix shop and you don't have reoccurring revenue coming in or a reason for this customer to come in more often than every 1 to 3 years, this is a great way to keep them coming back to you, okay? So in addition to that, I'm going to analyze another type of client, which would be your marketing campaign. If this product did everything you wanted it to, you're going to market it to a greater number of applicants, meaning an old email database, maybe purchase new leads. You're going to want to make more money, so you're going to go out and market it to maybe some more SMB or home consumers. Right now, we'll just analyze the SMB marketing. So I'm going to analyze a very typical customer, a typical type of partner who has maybe 30 opportunities in the SMB space. Hey, you may only have 5, but if all 5 of those are going to take, great. We're going to analyze 30 right now, okay, and only acknowledge a portion of those taking the product. In the specialized sector, we'll say you have 2 customers. Let's just say you have 50 home customers, the home consumers that want the product, and then you're going to market this to maybe 200 more different businesses in your region, whether it's via email campaign, mailers, however you want to hand those out, on the corner, however you want to do that, okay? Typically, the amount of data that I see that needs to be backed up in the SMB space is going to be right around the 50 gig mark. I'm going to say there's a spectrum of maybe 50 gigs to 150 gigs, but we're going to analyze a very conservative figure initially, all right? So I'm going to put 50 gigs in here. It's the typical amount of data that client is going to need backed up off-site, okay? Now, in the specialized sector, they may have bigger files. If it's a medical office, they may have some big CAT files or those medical database that might be a little bit bigger. I'll put 75, and these are low estimates, okay? You can always change these numbers once you get the sheet to identify with your current market space. The next would be the home consumer. Statistics across the industry for the home consumer is that they only use about 5 to 10 gigs. Now, you may have those consumers that decide, hey, I want to back up my entire iTunes cache. That rarely happens, okay? And any solution that tells you they've got an unlimited plan is going to throttle you to 2 to 4 gigs a day, and it's going to take months, if not a year, to get that whole initial upload done, all right? So we're going to talk about a 10 gig package for them, all right, which is more than enough for that home consumer. Their pain point is price, and we're going to try to get them in between the $60 and $100 mark on a per year basis. And then SMB marketing, we'll say they have 50 gigs as well, okay? This conservative adoption rate means how many of the opportunities we've listed here are going to take the product. Every one of you are going to have different answers, but I'm just going to analyze some conservative figures. Let's say 35% of those 30 opportunities to take the product. And out of the specialized sector, let's say one of those customers take, so 50%. Out of the home consumers, let's just say maybe 10% take, okay? And out of the SMB marketing home consumers, let's just say maybe 10% take, okay? And out of the SMB marketing campaign, let's say 2% or let's say 3%. Let's say 3% of those customers take out of the marketing campaign. Why have we done this exercise right now? We've done this exercise to figure out what the initial starting point is going to be for you, the best starting point. Now, this is just a preliminary conversation, and I'm going to model it around a 1 terabyte pre-purchase of space, okay, based on the pre-purchase of 1 terabyte, because that's what you need. You're consuming 950 gig based on this analysis. Your gig rate is going to be, as you see up here, it's going to start at $4.50, okay? Now, because you're on this webinar, if you want to get started with us, I'm actually going to put $4.40, so we'll give you a little bit of a discount there if you want to reference this ROI spreadsheet. I'm going to pull this, drop this box down, and apply it to everybody. Now, what does this mean? $4.40 per gig per year, which comes out to a monthly rate of 37 cents per gig per month. Now, why haven't I broken it down to a monthly cost? Because you might want to line it up to some of those other providers that are going to be charging you monthly. And also, you might want to acknowledge what kind of revenue you're going to make based on a monthly billing cycle, okay? So, based on the lack of licensing fees and based on the lack of versioning costs, that's a very attractive price point, and you're going to make a lot of money on this product. And what do I mean by a lot of money? How are you going to market this? I'll tell you what I see is working and not working in this space right now, okay? What does not work? Especially if it's in a small to medium business. With the home consumer, you're hamstring. But with the small to medium business, the worst thing you can do is just sell this as an online backup account, simple storage. You've seen the product. You see that it's beyond that. It's an archiving tool and a utility for remote access and share. So you deliver this product as a full data protection item, okay, full business continuity. This is data insurance, and you can charge them accordingly. So for data insurance, if you're completely managing this product for them, that's going to dictate a cost. And when I say manage, I mean you're going to implement the tool, you're going to monitor and maintain it, and then if they lose data, you're going to configure and deploy the data for them. Does this take a lot of time? No. I've seen it overcome on an item-by-item, partner-by-partner basis, okay? This does not take a lot of time to do. But you're going to bill them for those services. They will pay a premium to be dropped off at the front door, okay? And they're going to pay a lot less to have it done with you than have an on-site service, okay? Maybe meaning another server in the background or an internal IT guy to do this. Okay, so what is realistic as far as how to charge them? What is the going rate for a managed gig? The going rate for a managed gig across the globe that I see is somewhere between the $2 and $3 range per gig per month, okay? So, simple storage sale, business solution, $1 per gig per month. Managed gig with all your services of implementing the tool, monitoring, maintaining it, $2 to $3. So if this is delivered as a fully managed service, you could come in with the best price in town and charge them $99 per month, which equates to about $2 per gig per month, okay? Now, I don't know how this looks. That might be low. It might be high. Depending on the way that you want to market it, that's completely up to you how much you want to charge. But is $99 a good rate? Yeah. If you charge any less than that, I think you're leaving money on the table based on what I've seen, okay? Now, if you want to break this apart and charge them for the account and then charge them separately for labor, so be it. However you want to model this. But wrapping this up in a nice one little figure right here, this little data insurance price on a per month basis for your managed solution, a lot of value. And this protects them from absorbing thousands of dollars in IT costs to recover a full environment when that takes place, all right? So specialized sector, what do we price them at? Well, the specialized sector, because of the lack of supply of providers out there, are going to pay you a premium. Industry based on our versioning technique. With any other solution, that's going to grow into a terabyte in no time. So they're going to be paying more than that, even if the gig rate is lower. I think you understand. So moving on, the home consumer. Don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but if you're marketing to them, they're cost conscious. So let's put this at $6 a month. You'll charge them an annual cost up front, I would assume, rather than going month to month. And for $72, they get a 10 gig account. That's definitely economical for them. They can back up any system in the network. All right. With any other solution, they're going to charge you on a per seat basis, maybe $50 or $60 per computer. So that is a definite economic price right there. And you see the price point so low. But what I've done is I've pulled out the pricing over here to show you what your markup is. So with the SMB customer, your markup is significant. I mean, from 37 cents to $2, and then even better in the specialized sector, 37 cents to $3.50. It's almost 1,000% ROI. And then a little lower. You're making about 100% profit there, 100 to 200% profit in the home consumer market. Now, I've got to fill this out, the SMB marketing campaign. Let's say you charge them $99 as well. Okay? So we've done this to figure out what your revenue is going to be. Look at your revenue here, 22K, roughly 23K within the first year based on this pricing strategy. All right? That's healthy, I think. At the very least, it's going to stimulate your core competency because this product is very sticky. We see a 90% retention rate through our partnerships with this product. And if they aren't using your core competency, this may introduce them to that core competency and vice versa. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. Let's talk about what your cost of SOS is going to be. And remember, this is just preliminary. I don't want anybody to think this is the cheapest solution out there or the most expensive. We'll get a more granular discussion on what makes sense for you when you call in. This is just an exercise right here. So what's it going to cost for the space? If you pre-purchase 1 terabyte up front at a rate of $4.40 per gig per year, that comes out to $4,500. All right? You're going to have a question for me here because it's going to be based on rollover. You're going to say, hey, Brett, you're going to ask, I bought a terabyte. What if I only use half that terabyte, 500 gigs? What happens to the remaining gig once I've used, or once I've finished for year one? So I only used 500 gig in year one. What happens to that 500 gig that went unused? Do I lose it? My answer to you is going to be no, you don't lose it. It actually rolls over as a credit to year 2. So you have 24 months to consume that initial purchase. That's the beauty of the program. There's no stress. You're going to get the return on investment no matter what. And if you can't, with our help, get through a terabyte in 1 year, we're both in the wrong business. I'm going to say it right now. Okay? In any event, you can acknowledge that second-year credit for not only renewals, but upgrades and new accounts. So based on this exercise, if you only used 500 gig out of that terabyte in year 1, you would have 0 cost for space in year 2 because your credit would satisfy those renewals. All right? So you have the figure of 4,500 here. Let's talk about this one-time charge. And I want to explain and build some value around it before I talk about and entertain some methods for reducing that cost, because there's many, and depending on the partner specialist that you get, we're going to entertain whatever starting points necessary. So we're going to rebrand your client software application. There's over 1,200 points of rebrand that take place in order to get it to look and feel exactly the way you want. Okay? Once you approve of that, we're going to move on and create a portal system for you. These portals are going to allow you to create the accounts, upgrade them as they mature, and then monitor them from an accounting perspective, see the start, stop time, and also how much space they're consuming. Okay? In addition, we're going to create that web portal that gives you online access to that data, which I've showed you already. Okay? Once we're done with that portal system, we're going to rebrand all the marketing collateral that you've seen initially. We're going to give you access to the Partner Resource Center, which you can see on your screen here. Gives you access to every one of these little marketing pieces that have been successful for us over the last 10 years of business. We're also going to give you human resources. Yeah, I said it, human resources. This is unlike any other partnership that's out there. We're going to give you a consultant, which would be your partner specialist. If you're my partner, it's going to be me. I'll be more than happy to get on the phone with your customers if they're in the initial stages of the partnership. If you're uncomfortable talking through the product, I'll get on the phone and talk as a rep of your company about how great it is, and we'll sell it together. Obviously, it behooves our company as well as yours if you move through that terabyte sooner than later. So let us help, okay? In addition to the consultant, you're going to have an account manager who's there with you through the life of your account to provide you access to our company, whether it's a certain division you need to get in touch with, whether it's a certain individual you need to get in touch with. We're going to provide that to you, okay? In addition to him, you're going to have a technician by name that you can count on for answering any technical questions that you might have. One more guy, we have a partner delivery manager who heads up the development of your product. He also, more specifically, as far as your resource goes, he's going to take you through those dedicated series of webinars to build that sales, marketing, and technical know-how prior to launching this product, okay? So there's a lot of value in doing partnership with us, as you can see. That figure has been summed up with all that support and training in a one-time cost, not an ongoing, reoccurring cost of $2,900, okay? So before we get down to the final cost on this analysis, let's entertain some of the other add-ons that can go with this. So we looked at Pulse. Pulse was a centralized management console that allows you to remote control the backups. I'm a firm believer if you start with 1 terabyte, that I'm going to give this to you within the first year so you can look at it and see if it makes sense for managing your environment, okay? So if you want to quote me based on this webinar, tell them, hey, Brett said you're going to include it basically 1 terabyte for that first year, reference that. The second, web integration billing API. Now, for a minute, let's just think and entertain the idea of you marketing this via a website, okay? Not only for the purposes of the consumer coming across your website and seeing what you have to offer, but just to make a more automated method for them to sign up with you. So we've created this division of SOS just recently. It's not a profit-earning center by any means. We've created it to increase and quicken the sales cycle. Here's what happened. Several of our partners went out to get websites developed, to tie in their merchant systems, et cetera, and spent anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 in dev costs. This is ridiculous. And what more, it slows down the sales cycle, selling that space. So we're offering that now. We're going to do that for you. Build your website. And I'm going to show you an example here. Here's a company by the name of Annapolis who we just built. We'll build a website, okay? You'll have the ability of using a template for this website, getting it in detail to configure with your website, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to build a website. We're going to make available the download client, which you can see here. We'll give you access to this vulnerability scanner, which I'm going to show you in a second here. That is a quick calculator for determining how much gig needs to be backed up. But you can see it automates the support tabs, all the ticketing systems. Everything's baked into this web portal. Now, I'll show you the pricing and sign-up page. Now, if you're dealing with small to medium businesses and they're going to be high touch, they won't be doing this, but your reps could just go through this and very simply put in the information and create an automatic billing method for it. So they put in the customer information, choose that ultra safe option, which makes you the sole owner of that passkey if necessary for compliancy purposes. Give them the availability of these plans, whether it's a trial plan, which will allow you to hand out trials, a different package, whether it's 3 gigs to 200 gigs, and then put in their payment method. So that they'll have the ability of putting in their credit card information, or you putting it in for them, submitting it, which will automatically bill them, okay? Depending on the monthly, yearly, whatever the frequency of the account's going to be, or the length of the contract that you sign. So it automates the sign-up process. Even more so, it automates the login process as far as the web login portion. Now, you saw the method over here, the web login, which is going to have the bland URL of myaccount.managed offsite backup, and it will be a different color, just pretty much white labeled. But if you want it for your business with your ideal credentials, that is going to integrate that as well. And it's going to allow you from an accounting perspective to manage that. So as a reseller, you're going to want a dashboard that allows you to see the recent signups, recent upgrades, cancellation requests, ticketing, support ticketing. You're going to want to be able to manage the plans that you create, whether it's a 5 gig or 10 gig account. And let me log in here. It's kicking me out. I can't believe that, my system. So it's going to give you that ability to look at the plans that you've created, and you can activate or deactivate them at any time. So if there's a seasonal special that you're running, you can just deactivate it until that season pops up. All right? And you can also manage the CTCs. You can manage the content that's on there. So anything that's on that template that you're using their advertising, whether it's the verbiage or the icons, you can manage that all through this system. So that's the beauty of the web integration package. It seamlessly ties in all your portal systems, automates a lot of stuff, and gives you that shopping cart. We'll tie in the API link between your merchant system and our account creation and setup. So the default programs would be PayPal, Authorize.net going forward. All right? If you're interested in that web integration, for the purposes of this conversation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely discount the one-time charge of $29.90 and include that. Okay? And you can reference this spreadsheet or reference this conversation and tell them, hey, Brett told me I could get this. Okay? So I'm going to include that and come down here lower and discount the one-time charge. I'm also, if you get the web integration package, going to give you the vulnerability scanner. Okay? So the vulnerability scanner, what is that? On your desktop you can see, or on your screen, it's a little executable that will be rebranded for you. This gives you the answer to the how much question. What size account do I need? How much data do I need backed up? Okay? So this is going to run a quick assessment on the computer, give me a little reading telling me I need a certain size account. And for the automated method of the consumer buying this, this is going to hit them and knock them straight to your shopping cart right here with this link that we provide for you. Okay? So that adds a little value. I'm going to throw that in for free in this. So you can reference, once again, this spreadsheet or my conversation with you and tell them Brett said so. Now the smartphone portal. This is kind of a wobbler, and I hate to give this away, but based on your attendance today, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay? What is the smartphone portal and why do you need it? This is what gives access to over 300 mobile platforms for the purposes of file folder sharing. So if your techs are out in the field, if you're out in the field, if your customers are out in the field and all they have is their phone, they're going to want to be able to log onto that web portal and very flexibly file folder share. Now, with the regular web portal, it's going to be labor intensive to minimize or expand that view. So as a result, we're going to create an M portal for you, which you can see here has the configured features for that cell phone user. Okay? And I'm going to put in the password so you can see the little icons that make it nice and simple for those cell phone users, BlackBerry, iPhone, Droid. It makes it simple for them to file folder share right there. So that's what the mobile portal is. And that's going to add a lot of flexibility to you delivering this product and giving them options for recovering data. So I told you that I'm going to make this free basically by discounting $2,900, which is in excess of $500 in discounts. And let's see what that comes out to. I'm going to do some quick napkin math here. There we go, $2,900. So we'll make it at even 40%, okay? So you have the entire business in a box on this conversation. You have not only the terabyte of space in the rebranded client software application with the redundancy baked in, you have a centralized control panel, you have the web shopping cart, which we create the website, we build the API links, streamline the reseller portal and the web login, you have the vulnerability scanner and the smartphone portal. That's just a steal deal right there. This is the total investment, $6,900 for that 1 terabyte. Now, this is just a preliminary conversation. You might think, hey, look, I need more than 1 terabyte, or I might not need a terabyte. So let's have that conversation. Call in, talk to your partner specialist, okay? That $6,900 figure, we can talk about a payment option. So if you want, let's talk about what that would be. So for $6,990, let's say we spread it across 5 payments for you. So that would be 5 payments of $1,398. Okay? Definitely achievable based on that figure right there. All right? As I mentioned, this is very profitable. Okay, minus the investment, you're still in the plus 15 grand on this scenario, and then profit year 2, even more so, because what it's doing is it's minusing that one-time charge. So you've got a great solution here. I'm going to go ahead and back this up again as it's in front of you so you can see what's going on here. I'll go ahead and back it up. And quickly, I want to ask you guys, do you have any, I don't want to drag this on too much longer because you've been very patient, and I appreciate the patience with the delivery of this. There's a lot here to cover, and I think that I've wrapped it up into this hour. Are there any other questions while I'm going to go ahead and show you the recovery process through the share technique? Any other questions? Angel. Angel's got a question. I just got to the office, but listening on my phone. When can I see the recorded webinar? We're going to give you, everybody that attends this webinar is going to get a copy of this emailed to them. In addition, I would recommend, Angel, please call in when you have a chance to the 800 number and talk to your rep. They'll be more than happy to give you a more specific ROI discussion for this product. Okay? I'm gonna keep going. I don't see any more questions at this time right now, but I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to actually show you the recovery process through the web portal. So I'll take you through the scenario. You're my customer. I'm your IT guy. We're going to recover a document. Okay? You're out on the road. You're freaking out because you lost your favorite Excel spreadsheet. You call me, your IT guy. I'm going to save the day. So I log into your account here, and you saw the quickness of that recover share. I'm going to go in here and search again for that document, and it's under webinar. And I'm going to put the number 5 in there for the date. You see it there. Now look, I've backed it up several times. And just to show you that there's versions, you can see the little triangle there. That indicates there's 3 copies here. I backed it up 3 different times. Okay? Just to show you that I was telling the truth, there's 3 versions here. I backed it up 3 times. You're only being charged for the latest or greatest document in the set. We keep every version forever for free. Okay? The quickest way to get it to you, being my customer, would be the share option. Okay? I'm going to name the share ROI. I'm going to put in a little message to you, indicate you're a friend. I'll put in your name, and I'm going to send it to myself. Unless one of you guys want to provide me with your email address, I'll send it to you right now. For the first person who throws their email address on the questionnaire, I'll send this to you right now. How about that? Who's got an email address for me? There we go. Earl. Earl at my computers, etc. Okay. And Earl, I'm going to type your name in here and put in Earl at my computers, etc. I think that's the right email address. So, my computers, etc. Just want to make sure that's identified correctly. I'm going to go ahead and hit share. Earl, you're going to get that sent to you right now. It should be coming down the pipe. If you have access to your inbox, just to verify that you're getting that right away. Okay? In the meantime, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recover it to my system so you guys can see it take place. Okay? There it is. I'm going to choose the most recent version. I'm going to share it to myself. Indicate that I'm a friend. Put it to my email address. We'll name it ROI. Okay? Hit share. So Earl, I don't know if you received it. You already have it. Great. Earl already has it. And that just shows you how quick and expeditious this works. Instantaneously. Okay? And I'm on a wireless right now. So sending that command through here to get that to you from our data center. That shows you how quick and expeditious that is. So I've just sent it to myself. Let's go ahead and look in my email box and see if I've gotten it yet. There it comes. Look, there it is on my screen. You guys can see right there. Hello, Brett. Look, I misspelled my own name. That's hilarious. Go ahead and put click here, and that's going to download it right to my system. You see it right there in the tray. I'm going to open it up, and there it is. It's open right here. There we go. Excellent. See how quickly that worked? There it is. 2 copies of it. I already had 1 open. So you guys can see here the value of this product. It is beyond backup. Okay? Truly is beyond backup. It's not only that backup account, it's an archiving tool and a utility for remote access and sharing of data. I want to thank everybody for coming today and being patient and sitting through. That was a long-winded discussion. I'm sorry, just trying to wrap that up into a nice box for you. Want to make sure this is going to be worth your time as well as worth our time. I see a lot of value in it. I think you've seen the value in it also. I want to answer any outstanding questions that are there, so if you have any questions, I see Alejandro, you had one more. Do you support AIX environments like IBM Power Stations? If there's a Windows platform in the network, you can map that box to the Windows platform, Alejandro. And specifically call in, we'll have one of our technicians walk you through that. But if you have the software on the box, we'll take that for you, okay? Anthony, with these costs, as mentioned, this is fully branded product. Yes, sir. This is a fully rebranded client software piece with the costs that you've seen in front of you. That includes everything, okay? Everything. And how much support do we have? Human and white pages, everything. Everything is wrapped up into that. That one-time cost for $29.90, that involves all of the support, marketing, collateral, training, everything. And I've actually waived that in this discussion so that you can get that web integration package done for you, the website created. I mean, this is just making it simple, 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 simple for you, okay? Any other questions here? I think I've answered. Anthony, Earl, you've gotten the document. That's great. Alejandro, I answered your question. Any other questions from anybody else out there? Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the meeting at this point. Once again, I appreciate your time. Please come and call in to your partner specialist immediately, the 800 number that's provided to you. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys very soon. If you're my partner, potential partner, I'll look forward to having that individual conversation with you. Looking forward to that phone call. So once again, everybody will be provided with a live recorded webinar of this